It is 7 o'clock. We do have a quorum. We'll call city council meeting to order. First item on the agenda is the invocation by Councilman Gilmore, and then we'll do the pledge of both the American and Texas flags be led by Cub Scout Pack 233.
Please join me in a moment of silence. Amen.
Come forward, please. Would you like to introduce them? Would you like to introduce each one? Let them introduce themselves. Zach what? Zachary? Well, thank y'all so very much for coming. We really appreciate it. We need fine young men like you in this country, and we appreciate it. So if you'll go ahead and lead us now, we appreciate it. United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag and pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state under God, one and indivisible. Thank you very much. Thank you, gentlemen. First off, tonight I'd like to apologize to everyone for my voice and my coughing that you're going to be hearing. I want to thank everyone so much for the last little over a month now for your prayers, your thoughts, your visits, cards, emails, everything. It's meant, phone calls, meant so much to me. I'm so blessed to have so many friends. Thank you very much. I'm doing much better. I'm just having some respiratory and chronic cough problems. And because of that, I'm going to ask Mayor Pro Tem Durham to do a lot of the reading and things for me tonight, especially on the captions and stuff, because I just can't do it without starting to cough heavily. Next item on the agenda, though, is Salvation Army. Well, excuse me, is there a proclamation? Do we have any here?
I do not believe so.
Okay, we don't have one here for the proclamation. I'm sorry. Got out on that one, really. So the next item on the agenda would be the Salvation Army. We'd like to let them come forward and give their presentation and do an annual kickoff that we do here in the city of Louisville with the Salvation Army. If you want to step forward to the microphone and tell them a little bit about it, and what you'll be doing for the next few months.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Mayor and councilmen and any women. Just like to say thank you for this opportunity to be here for our annual kickoff of our kettle campaign. The Salvation Army here covering the South Denton County. This is the time of the year when we bring in our most of our revenue to keep our centre, which is based here in the old town of Louisville, running for the year. It's the time when we ask the community to put their hand in their pocket and to donate their dollars to help us in doing the most good in this area. And we are fortunate that the community here is very generous to us. And in our kickoff of our kettle campaign this year, we have gone technical slightly. For those of you that have smartphones, you may see the QR codes, which are now on our Salvation Army sign, and it allows people that do not carry cash around with them to be able to scan the QR code and to actually donate via using their cell phones, and also to be able to text and donate that way. So, so this way we hope that that will help, you know, step up some of those dollars as well into our campaign. We are fortunate that the community is so good to us, and we would ask just now if, Mr. Mayor, if you would like to come forward and ring our bell and just kick off our campaign for us.
It'd be my pleasure. And now I invite everyone to come down and put in your dollar or whatever you'd like to put in to the Salvation Army kickoff. We'd love to have you come down. Let's do it.
Get you to adopt it there.
Oh,
Look at that. He's got dollars he can see
give me some of that.
in 10 years.
I wish that was gay.
Yeah, well, our citizens respond to the call we give the community.
You two present a bad example because I saw you cut in line, I cut in line. Oh,
Cutting, they're in the wrong line.
Oh.
We're the right line.
We're in this line.
You follow, you always
We're
stick
in
with
the line
us.
if you get to go quick.
I'll see the rest of them went to the back of the line.
We'll see, you're smarter.
Yeah.
You stick with us, Leroy, we'll never,
All right.
never
I
lead
will.
you down the wrong path.
You might have something there.
You know, it's really amazing because when you go and work with things, sometimes they give you a little stick because in your hand there, there's no, they give you a stick because it gets filled up. We have such generosity, that's easy. It gets filled up, you have to continue to push the wheels down in there. So I want to thank all of our citizens here in our community. And God bless you. I hope you all have a wonderful Merry Christmas. I thank you for what y'all do, the work that y'all do. Thank you very much.
All right, we'll just make an adjustment here. All righty, 1, 2, 3, and one more. 1, 2, 3. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank y'all. Thank y'all so much. We thank all of you for coming and supporting. Next item, Mr. Bing Burton. Come forward, please, sir. You would just give your name and address for the record, please.
Surely. I'm Bing Burton. I'm Director of Denton County Health Department. The Health Department address is 535 South Loop 288 in Denton. And I thought I would just give you an update on where we stand with West Nile virus in Denton County and some information perhaps that is specific to the city of Louisville. Okay, so first slide here is just kind of some bar graphs that shows you one case in May, 2 cases in June, 38 in July. And then you see the red graph there, that is city of Louisville. So 8 cases in Louisville in July, 21 in Louisville in August, although the county had 102. 3 cases in Louisville for September, 29 in Denton County, and then October 1 for the city of Louisville, 10 for Denton County. I would just remind you, in all the years previous, the most cases we've ever had in Denton County were 8 cases. So this was unprecedented for us. It was nothing that like we had ever dealt with before, and I hope we won't see anything like this in the future either. All right, so I wanted to just give you a map to kind of give you a sense of where the cases were located. Some have suggested to me, well, look at all those cases between Lake Louisville and Grapevine. Maybe that's... The reality is the cases are focused where the population is. These are high-density population areas, and that's where the cases are. This Culex mosquito that carries West Nile virus doesn't really care a lot for lakes and marshes. It is an urban dweller and would much prefer a tire or a flower pot or something like that. So these mosquitoes just came where the population is. Wanted to give you just a little bit of timeline. I already mentioned 1 case really in May, 2 in June, 38 in July, 102 in August. We had our first death August the 7th, and you remember 102 cases in August, so the case count was increasing rapidly. By the 22nd, we were at the height of the epidemic, I believe. On that day, I recommended to the county judge that she declare a disaster, and that way, when she declared a disaster, we could draw in state and federal resources, and the Commissioner of Health had told me, Bing, we will make aerial spraying available if that's what you need to combat the outbreak in Denton County. And during August, it was clear to us we had the highest incidence rate in the state, and that probably means in the nation. There was no place else with an outbreak that paralleled ours. August 24th, we had our second death. That was a Carrollton resident. It was on August 27th that Louisville City Council opted in, and really it was from about the 23rd through the 29th that the various city councils opted in and some opted out. Spraying commenced then August 31st through September 2nd. I think you can pick out some of the spray areas here. Certainly the dark areas, you can see that is Flower Mound in Louisville in this southern part of the county. And then many of those hashed in areas were spray areas also. The blue areas were not sprayed, so that was primarily Denton, Corinth, Argyle, and then some of these other areas like Carrollton and Dallas had already been sprayed. Okay, so the result of the aerial spraying, I'll never forget the day that we released the results. Denton Record Chronicle said aerial spraying misses mark. Well, maybe we didn't get as many mosquitoes as we would have liked to have gotten. I was delighted to see 56% of the mosquitoes in the spray area were killed. I'd love for it to have been higher. 60% of the Culex, those are the ones that were particularly carriers of West Nile virus. Now, I don't know for sure that we killed 60% of every Culex mosquito. That number comes by sampling. There were some cages put out, and 60% of the Culex in the cages were killed, and we would conclude, as projection will be made tomorrow night, you know, if there was 60% of them killed in this cage, in this cage, and in this cage, it probably meant 60% across the county. But it's not exact. Spray area included about 500,000 acres. Now, that was my first observation. As I looked over Denton County, that's a lot. It turns out we did spray 500,000 acres, but we sprayed it all twice. So it's more like 250,000 acres in Denton County that were sprayed. And certainly, West Nile virus cases dropped dramatically after spraying. I should not suggest to you that spraying was the only reason that those cases dropped. There was a change in the weather, change in the temperature. There were a number of factors. Aerial spraying was certainly a major factor, but there were other factors as well. So I thought you might be interested just in some of the daily case counts. I started August the 14th there, and you can see Denton County is doing 6,356. The numbers are pretty large. City of Louisville, 3,123,13. So a fair number of cases. By the 22nd, you can see the 21st we had 9 cases. Now, I'm not sure if the 21st is a Monday or a Tuesday, but that was an accumulation. Nevertheless, a large number. 22nd and 23rd, 7 and 6. I believe that was the height of the outbreak. We began spraying, we made our recommendation on the 22nd. City councils then began making their decisions, and we began spraying by the 31st. You can see in September. Now, these numbers for Louisville are dramatically down. Aerial spraying would not account for all of that, particularly the first few days, because individuals have to incubate for a little while before they would become a case. So there were some changes taking place, but you can see Denton County, for the county itself, the numbers are down and continued to decline. And that's all good news. Whether it was all the result of aerial spraying or change in the weather or whatever it is, that's all good news. Thought you might like to see some comparative city rates. City of Denton had the most cases and has the highest population, so they had 35 cases. The right-hand column, the rate per 100,000, 29.9, that's one of the things that we look at. If you look just at the bottom right, 26.8, so the county as a whole, we had 26.8 cases per 100,000. Some cities, City of Louisville, 34.4. Flower Mound was higher, 41.8. Highland Village was our highest, 10 cases in 15,000 population for a rate of 64.1. That's alarming from a public health perspective. That was a great concern to us. I thought you might like just a comparison with the other major counties in the Metroplex, and certainly this was where the outbreak was centered in Texas, and no other state had anything close to these sorts of numbers. So Denton County, 182 cases. You may be familiar, West Nile fever, 128, West Nile neuroinvasive disease, 54 cases. The neuroinvasive disease, those are very serious. For many of those people, those will be life-changing events. We had 2 deaths. You will see other counties. The bottom half of the chart gives you a case rate. We base the rate not on the total number of cases, but on the number of neuroinvasive disease cases. But you'll see Denton County, 3.7% of our neuroinvasive disease cases. Every other county was substantially higher than that. I would suggest to you the real heroes in this event were our hospitals and medical professionals that diagnosed early and accurately and treated and kept our number of deaths at only 2. Although when you look at the left-hand column at the bottom, you see the 26.51, that is the highest incidence rate in the state. So we had very high incidence rate and very low deaths. And I am convinced that aerial spraying helped to keep that number low. I think that's about everything I had in mind. Do you have some questions for me?
I have a question. If you go back to your map where you have the opt-in, opt-out areas.
Yes, sir.
When you did your pre- and post-sampling, spray sampling, did you also sample the opt-out areas? And if so, do you have that data so that I can get a better sense of what the trend would have been had spraying not occurred?
We didn't sample. Actually, the sampling was done by Clark, which was the contractor that did the aerial spraying. So the health department was not sampling, but the answer to your question, the short answer is no, sir.
Okay. I think that data would have been incredibly helpful.
Now, City of Denton does do sampling year-round. So I mean, not year-round, but certainly throughout this period. So I may be able to get some of that information for you. I'll sure give that an effort.
Okay. I'd like to, I mean, I would really like to better understand what the efficacy of this spraying was, and I think a real obvious way to do it would be to look at opt-out areas versus opt-in over the same period, because then I've got essentially a control group.
I'll see if I can get some of that information and send it to you. I had sent you an article that ran in the Journal of American Medical Society.
Yes.
Dr. Haley comes to one sentence that kind of wraps it up for me. It's right before his conclusion on the second page. But he says the benefits of interrupting the West Nile virus transmission cycle and preventing potential neurological impairment and deaths that can occur with the West Nile virus epidemic outweigh the theoretical risks of ultra-low volume aerial spraying. So that was really the most definitive thing for me. Now, this article came out after our experience and after, really, as a result of the Dallas County experience.
Okay. Thank you.
I have questions. Okay. Dr. Burton, thank you for your presentation. But I do have a couple of questions. Looking at the information from the Texas Department of State Health Services, and I think you and I talked about this before, that up to 80% of people may have West Nile virus and not be affected by it at all, not even have any symptoms. Correct?
Totally accurate.
Now,
So
not trying to minimize the seriousness of West Nile virus, because I personally know someone who has, an elderly person who had other complications, and she had that also, and she has passed away. And I'm sorry for their family and stuff, for their loss. But at the time we did this spraying, 66 people across the country who died from complications to their health condition or illness, it was a 66 at the time. And what is the number now that we know? Do you know?
I don't know the
Okay,
answer.
I think I read somewhere just about double that. But the point I'm trying to make is that there are, for example, the CDC says that an average of 36,000 people die from complications of flu with their illness. And I know there's not a spray to combat the flu, but on a personal anecdote, for me, when I step out in my backyard where my floodlights are, I see more than just mosquitoes. I see a lot of bugs and gnats that are there. Well, after the spraying, I didn't see anything for nearly 5 days, so it did kill more than mosquitoes. And I know that I've seen a lot more skinny dead lizards, excuse me, but I think they starved to death because of that. And also, the bird feeder in my backyard, even though I cleaned it out and changed it, wasn't touched for nearly 5 days. So the birds went somewhere where all the food. I think what we did was something to our ecology more than something that, about the spraying. I'm not saying that the spraying didn't do anything, but I'm saying that there may have been other ways to combat it. Maybe bats and competing or telling our population to wear long clothes and, spray themselves. But the thing is that we did do something with the spraying. And even though 66 people died because they were tested with West Nile virus, that's kind of a small number when you compare the 17 to 52,000 people that die, 36,000 average, die a year from the flu. And I think that it was just kind of a strong reaction. That was my statement, sir, but here's my question to you, and if you want to add something to it. Did you want to add something to that?
Well,
comment?
From a public health perspective, I would just say I think you're right on with the influenza virus.
Yes.
And I would certainly encourage everybody to be vaccinated. We're in the midst of vaccinating for flu right now to help prevent some of those 36,000 deaths.
I agree. Now, the state of Texas, because the Department of Health was asking for hospitals and stuff for testing. Do you know any numbers on how did they go about testing? Did they test because somebody was sick? How many people were tested? And of those people tested, did they test because they were sick, or how many didn't have West Nile virus, et cetera? Do you know anything in that respect?
The testing of West Nile virus occurs almost without exception because an individual goes to their physician or perhaps the emergency room. They're not feeling well, they're sick. The doctor may say these symptoms, especially with us being in the midst of a West Nile virus epidemic, this could be West Nile virus, let's test for it. That's almost exactly the way that it happens.
Do you have any numbers, though, on?
I don't have any information regarding, how many were positive and how many were negative.
Okay.
All I know is whenever there was a positive, it was reported to us, and we did our best to pass that on then to the cities. Many of them used that information to trigger their ground spraying, those sorts of activities. In terms of other approaches other than aerial spraying, our first option is always education, and I saw your poster out there that emphasizes the 4 Ds. I think that is great. We certainly encourage ground spraying, and that can be effective. We encourage the use of larvicide, and I think the city of Louisville may have distributed some larvicide. All of those are effective techniques, except in this case, they just weren't sufficient to turn this outbreak around.
If you go to the slide with your bar graphs, sir, please.
Yes, sir.
From what I could find on the internet, that's perfectly coincides with the peak season of mosquito season, and as it was coming down. The results that we received this year from, you were saying so far in October stuff, did we test, when I say we, did Texas in general, did physicians test for West Nile virus in previous years like they did this year? What I'm saying is I'm suspecting that my theory is that we're detecting more because we're testing for it.
I think there may be some merit to that.
Okay.
I think in previous years there may have been diagnoses that would have been something else that might have this year been correctly diagnosed as West Nile virus.
Do you know what the modality is or how Duet affects the organism when it's being used sprayed? Do you have any idea?
I'm afraid that's out of my field.
Okay. I couldn't get anything definitive on the internet. Some said at the neuron level or nerve level as a nerve agent. That kind of made me think. But
Did you have any other questions, Councilman?
thank you very much, and I appreciate your candor.
Thank you, Dr. Burt. We
Pleasure to be with
appreciate your help and your service, sir. Next item is visitor citizen forum. At this time, any person with business for the council not scheduled on the agenda may speak to the council. No formal action can be taken on these items at this meeting. Do we have a card filled up? Mr. Gary Goldsmith. Mr. Goldsmith, you want to come forward, please, sir? Name and address for the record, please.
Hello, my name is Gary Goldsmith. I live at 1614 Parkside Trail here in Louisville. I was a principal in the Louisville School District for 30 years, so I would never have a meeting without a handout. So I have y'all a handout.
Hand it to the mayor, sir. Sir.
I'm not contagious.
Got to know the rules too, Gary.
I promise. I promise I'm not contagious. At least I said it.
Okay, once again, my name is Gary Goldsmith. I live at 1614 Parkside Trail here in Louisville. I moved into my house in 1984. I'm the original owner of that house. I planned on living there all my life. I've been a Louisville resident since 1966. I love the city of Louisville. I don't want to live anywhere else. I feel like we have the best fire department and the best police protection in the Metroplex. Our water, sewer, and trash pickup are second to none. I graduated from Louisville High School in 1969. I love living here. Many of my classmates left Louisville. They moved to some of the surrounding communities like Flower Mound or Highland Village. I used to laugh when somebody would tell them, well, you can't paint your fence this color, or you have to use this shade of color on your shingle on your roof. Well, I'm not laughing anymore. Across the alley, my neighbor, Gary Brown, built a 2-story structure next to the back of his property line. As soon as I saw he was building that, I said, do you have a permit from the city? He said he did. Well, I knew he didn't because I'd already called the city and checked. So he was not being honest with me. The city stopped the project, and then 2 weeks later, he was able to obtain a permit. He started building again. Now, in my handout, you can see that I have a picture a view from my driveway. When I walk out of the driveway every morning, you can see this two-structure story behind me. The bottom picture, the view from the alley, when you drive down the alley, you can see that. Well, you know, that in itself, that's just an eyesore. That's something that happens, you know, I guess it happens, but that's an eyesore. When you switch to page 2, if you really understand the Valley 5, it's a very private area. Nobody shares a fence with their neighbor. There's an alley behind everybody, and it's very private. Okay, you can see in this top picture, this is taken from the deck of my swimming pool, and you can see the top of my 8-foot privacy fence. And right on the other side of the fence, you see the windows looking down from his structure. You can also see a porch with a ladder on it. The bottom picture is just a close-up of it. He was able to build this, and it looks down into my backyard where I have a swimming pool. He has taken the privacy from my backyard. And, you know, anytime somebody takes something from you, you want to get it back. I want to get my privacy back, or I would like to be compensated for the loss of the privacy in my backyard. And like I said earlier, you know, we don't even share fences in this neighborhood. At one time, he said he was going to build a structure back there, and he said he was going to rent it out for Super Bowls, and then he said his mother-in-law was moving in, and then he said it was going to be his office. So who knows what he's really going to do with the structure. And in the back page, this is a picture from the neighbor that lives to the west of him. This was taken from their back porch where they've had a lot of parties. They've had barbecues back there, had a lot of company over there. So he's also taken his neighbor's privacy. And I know sometimes when you buy a location, you build a house, you know, you expect a certain degree of privacy. Now, if you buy a house next to something that's zoned for a school or something that's zoned for apartments or a residential development of any time, you can expect something like this to grow up in your backyard, and you should have no expectations of privacy. And I know for the last couple of years we've had a Louisville Preservation Committee looking at some of the building and some of the things that are going on in Louisville. And whatever it takes, I know this is not an agenda item, but we need to take a look at this, and this has got to stop. I'm living in a place right now where I can't even go out in my backyard. I've got a swimming pool, I've got a nice backyard. This structure looks straight down in my backyard. I took the pictures, and that's the best I can do on the pictures. So we need to act on this. The Louisville Preservation Committee, I think, has made some recommendations on y'all. We need to do something. We need to stop the building like this in Louisville. It's got to stop. It's not good for anybody, and a person should not be allowed to take something away from their neighbor. So I appreciate y'all talking to me. I appreciate y'all listening to me. I wish you would drive down my alley. I live on Parkside Trail out in Valley 5. I wish you would drive down my alley and look at the structure and just look how it looks in my backyard. He also has three buildings in his backyard, counting this one. He said he's going to tear them down, but, you know, when he's going to tear them down, I don't know. So I really need some help. I'm asking y'all for help and just to see if y'all can do something about this, because I don't want to leave Louisville. I want to live here forever, and I want my backyard back. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Goldsmith. And I'll just
Excuse
say,
me, what was your address?
1614 Parkside Trail. That's out in Valley 5. There's 3 little streets out there. They don't go anywhere, and I love the neighborhood.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
thank you, Mr. Goldsmith. And I just, for one, I agree with you 100%. That's why we appointed that committee, and we do need to start taking some
Yeah,
action on it.
and I need some relief.
Right.
You have a question?
No, I would just thank you.
Okay. Oh, one other thing. The West Nile virus, sometimes the hard decisions are tough, and I applaud y'all's decisions to spray. I have a cousin in Dallas that's in rehab. He had the serious kind. He's in kind of an assisted living right now. So y'all made the right decision, and I applaud that. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate your service to the community, too. Next item on the agenda is consent agenda. All the following items on the consent agenda are considered to be self-explanatory by the council and be acted with one motion. No one filled out any cards or asked anything to be pulled. Councilman Ferguson.
Move to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Have a motion by Councilman Ferguson approved, second by, who was it?
Councilman Bond.
Councilman Vaughn, excuse me. Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Item 10, Mayor Pro Tem Durham, would you mind reading that, please, sir?
Yes, Mayor. Consideration of a variance to the Louisville City Code, Chapter 6, Land Development, Section 6-144, screening between commercial and residential uses for LISD High School South Harmon Campus, as requested by Glenn Engineering Corporation. The Louisville ISD constructed a 9th and 10th grade high school at southeast corner of Round Grove Road, FM 3040, and Duncan Lane in 2010. At this time, they are proposing to construct a 49,500 square foot natatorium located on the north portion of the site, approximately 1,000 feet from the eastern property line that abuts multifamily zoning. In order to facilitate this request, LISD is seeking to renew the variance granted in 2009, allowing an approximately 175-foot span of 6-foot high chain link fence to remain in lieu of providing the required screening fence along the east property line of the site. The remainder of the screening fence, 985 feet, complies with the ordinance and a tubular steel fence with brick columns. The recommendation is that the City Council approve the variance as set forth in the caption above. Mayor?
Thank you, sir. I do have 2 cards here filled out. One is by Robert A. Hoyman, I believe it is. Apologize for my misspelling. Says you do wish to speak on this item and you'll be in support. And then you got that checked, but you do not wish to speak. You're available for questions. Are you wanting to speak, sir, or just here for questions? I'm sorry? Yes. Okay.
Good evening. My name is Robert Howman with Glenn Engineering. We're the applicant. What we'd like to do is renew, like he stated. Go ahead.
Could you give your address?
Yes, sir. 105 Decker Court, Suite 910, Irving, Texas. What we were talking about is, I don't know if there's a picture, but it's the 175 foot that goes over a ditch. The reason it was hard to construct the last time when they asked for the variances, it's actually a drainage way. So there is an existing black vinyl cladded chain link fence in existence today. And then we're here to entertain any questions you might have.
Okay. They have one from Michael Perry with LISD. Would you like to speak, sir?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. My name is Michael Perry. My title is Executive Director of Construction for Louisville School District. My address is 1170 Lloyd Road, Little Elm, Texas. I'm here on behalf of the school district. Would be happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Okay, I got some. I don't know that you're going to be able to answer it, but if you can't, maybe you can get me some answers. Back on December 12th, our city manager, Mr. King here, sent an email to Quentin Burnett. You familiar with him? LISD employee?
Yes, sir. Our Chief Financial Officer.
And then he CC'd that to Larry Williams.
Yes, sir.
You're sure you know who he is?
Yes, sir.
LISD employee. And Randy Mays with some questions on behalf of council.
Yes, sir.
You never got a response.
I can fix
On
it.
January 12th, well, let me finish, please.
Yes, sir.
On January 12th, he sent another memo, same thing. No response. Over 2 months ago, I saw Buddy Bonner at Rotary. You know who he is. He's supposed to be our representative for our district now for LSD. Told him about the situation, said we need somebody to talk to. Hadn't heard from anybody. My recommendation to our council tonight is, because LSD has made the choice not to respond in any way, shape, or form to questions of council by our city manager, that we table this item until you can come forth with some answers to some of our questions. If you can answer me as why you hadn't answered them, I'd be happy to entertain that.
Mr. Mayor, I can't explain to you why they can't answer them. What I can do is stand in front of you tonight and tell you that I will find an answer for you, and I will get somebody to answer for you first thing in the morning. I hope that you don't take that as a sign of any disrespect for the council from the school district. I think that we're hopeful that we will not delay this project because it is good for our kids. It's a great facility for our kids. I've stood in front of you many times. I've always upheld my word to you, and I would do that again. I will get you an answer.
Well, until we get that, I recommend we table this item until we get some questions answered and some response for LISD instead of promises for a response.
Again, I'm hopeful that you would approve it tonight and give me the opportunity to find out why they did not respond to you and give me the
We're
opportunity
giving you
to fix
over a
that.
year, sir.
I'm sorry?
We're giving you LISD over a year.
Yes, sir. If nothing else tonight, Mr. Mayor, I'd like to leave my cell phone with council and staff to make sure that they have me to contact.
It'd be fine. You can visit with Mr. Backus. Well, I left a message with Mr. Williams today, and so did he. We didn't hear back.
Nobody's called you back yet.
Correct.
I can fix that tomorrow, Mr. Mayor.
Okay. So, all right. Anything else that you want to say?
No, sir. Thank you.
Counsel, you bet. Thank you, sir. And it's nothing to you. It's if we get real frustrated when you can't get answers, not even a response.
I'd be extremely frustrated. If it's been a year and I haven't been responded to, I would be frustrated as well. Again, I can look you in the eye and tell you that I can find that response for you if you'll give me the opportunity to do so.
Great. Thank you, sir.
Mayor, is it time to make?
Yes, sir.
I'd like to make a motion that we table this item until our next scheduled meeting.
Second.
We have a motion by Councilman Vaughn to table the item of the next scheduled meeting, and a second by Councilman Gilmore. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. And we do look forward to getting a response and getting some issues answered before we can make a decision as to how we want to go forward. Mayor Pro Tem Durham, number 11, please, sir.
Approval of a resolution appointing a representative to the DCTA Board of Directors and appointing Claude King and Steve Backus as alternate representatives to the DCTA Board of Directors. Comments: Charles Emery has been Louisville's representative to the DCTA Board of Directors since the inception of DCTA. The last appointment was in November 2010. Mr. Emery is willing to serve an additional 2-year term as Louisville's representative if the council so desires. A resolution is required to appoint the representative and includes appointment of alternates Claude King and Steve Backus. Recommendation is that the City Council approve the resolution as set forth in the caption above.
Councilman Gilmore.
Move to approve as written.
Second.
I have a motion by Councilman Gilmore to approve, a second by Councilman Ferguson. All in favor?
Wait, Mayor?
I'm sorry.
Mayor,
Yeah.
they also need to make a motion to approve Charles Emery as our representative.
Then move to approve Charles Emery as Louisville's representative and to approve Mr. King and Mr. Backus as our alternates.
Second.
The motion has been amended and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Mayor Pro Tem Durham, number 12, please, sir.
Okay, consideration of appointments to the Board of Directors of the Louisville Parks and Library Development Corporation. Comments. The 2-year terms for the board members of the Louisville Parks and Library Development Corporation are currently expiring. Per the provisions of the Act, the City Council must appoint a 7-member Board of Directors. No more than 4 of the members shall be persons who are city employees, officers, or members of the City Council. When this board was originally formed, it was the desire of the City Council that membership of this board consist of 4 City Council members, a Park Board member, and a Library Board member. The additional person had been for a member of the Blue Ribbon Committee. Requirements for membership on the Board of Residents, membership of the board are residents of Louisville and at least 18 years of age. All of the current board members have expressed an interest in being appointed. The balance of that paragraph has been redacted. Recommendation is that the City Council consider the appointments to the Board of Directors of the Louisville Parks and Library Development Corporation. Mayor?
Councilman Grenna.
I thought, okay, sorry. I thought we had talked about,
Make a motion.
Yeah, I can. do
Okay,
that.
Councilman
my
Vaughn.
brain is just
Would you like to do
running
this?
All right. Mayor, first of all, I'd like to thank ex-councilman Lathan Watts who served on this board and did a very fine job, but no longer being on the city council, we are required to appoint a new board member. And I recommend, or I make a motion that we appoint Councilman T.J. Gilmore as a replacement member for Lathan Watts.
Second.
And then did you want to also make a motion on reappointing those that are,
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes. And all the current members of that board have stated they would like to be reappointed, and so I make an additional motion that we reappoint the current board members,
With the exception of.
with the exception of Lathan Watts.
okay? We have a motion and by Councilman Vaughn, a second by Councilman Grena. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Mayor Pro Tem Durham, number 13, please, sir.
Consideration of nomination to the Council of Governments Regional Emergency Preparedness Planning Council, EPPC, and consideration of appointing an alternate representative to the COG EPPC. Comments? Councilman Guarino was nominated by City Council on January 14th, 2011, and appointed as a member of the COG EPPC. The EPPC is composed of elected officials from participating cities and counties. Cities are grouped into population brackets in accordance with current population estimates. Councilman Guarino desires to serve another term on the council, and his current term will expire January 4th, 2013. The nomination form needs to be returned to COG Executive Board no later than December 13th, 2012. COG has also requested that an alternate representative be appointed. Recommendation is that the City Council consider the nomination to EPPC and alternate appointments as set forth in the caption above. Mayor?
Councilman Gilmore.
I nominate Councilman John Guarena and Councilman Leroy Vaughn as the alternate.
Second?
We have a motion by Councilman Gilmore, a second by Mayor Pro Tem Durham. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Mayor Pro Tem Durham, item number 14, please, sir.
Thank you, Mayor. Consideration of dates for the annual City Council retreat. Each year, the City Council retreat is normally held on a Thursday through Saturday timeframe during the first or second week of February. This year, the first set of dates proposed would be Thursday, February 7th through Saturday, February 9th. The multipurpose room at MCL Grand Theater is available for those dates, as is the Hilton Garden Inn. Alternative dates for the council retreat would be January 31st through February 2nd or February 14th through 16th. The multipurpose room and the Hilton Garden Inn would not be available for the two alternate set of dates. However, the Hedrick House is available for both alternate days. Recommendation is that the City Council review the available dates and locations and direct city staff as to which date are preferred.
Mayor Pro Tem Durham, I'm going to let you go ahead and start off on this also, sir.
Okay. Mayor, in the workshop, we had some discussion about this, and I believe what was when everybody looked at their calendar, the February 7th through the 9th was the dates that fit most people's calendar, and that the Hilton Garden Inn would be the recommended place to have this. There were some comments made about sound quality at the Hedrick House and at the MCL Grand Theater because the wood floors and people not walking in and out, and the acoustics of it. So,
Is that a motion?
Second.
I'll put that in a motion, yes.
A motion by Councilman Durham and a second by Councilman Ferguson. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Reports? Good. Chief? Linda? Chief Kerbo?
Hilton Garden, right?
Carol? Donna? No change. Brenda? Mr. Ferris? Mr. Back? Mr. Pro Tem Durham?
I hope City Secretary will bring this up and probably some other comments about the Election Day tomorrow. Everybody needs to check their polling place before they go out. There have been some changes, not too many in Denton County that I'm aware of, but there have been changes made. So that would be for Tuesday the 6th. In case somebody's watching a repeat of this, don't go out the next day to vote. So, thank you, Mayor.
Councilman Grana?
Again, I was going to say the same thing that Councilman Durham mentioned, that I'm sure Julie will cover it, but Denton County website to go there, and many different precincts and many different places to go vote. So please look before you go.
Councilman Gilmore?
Mayor, myself, and several councilmen sitting up here had the opportunity to go and tell the TCEQ exactly what we thought about the expansion of the Camelot landfill. I was very proud of my colleagues that they got up there. I feel they represented Louisville extremely well, and I was proud to also represent Louisville. We had over 175 residents post comments at that meeting. There were over 800 people there. It was standing room only. And you know, that's important to see the number of people that come out for that, because we don't have residences that back right up to it. But I believe our city understands the impact that this is going to have long term, and we need to make sure that clean water continues to trump trash. With that being said, on November 17th, the Trinity Trash Bash is coming up. That's going to be from 8 to 11, and we would love to have you out there and help clean up part of the Trinity River. If you'd like to volunteer for that, go to keeplouisvillebeautiful.org, and there's a sign-up right there, and they can help you out. This is a phenomenal program, and it helps keep our waterways clean. Thanks, Mayor.
Thank you. Mr. King? No, sir. Councilman Ferguson?
Yes, Mayor, a few items related to the MCL Grand Theater. First of all, yoga classes continue in the courtyard unless there's rain, in which case they move inside to the recital hall. Those are on Wednesdays, Wednesday, November 7th, 6:30 to 8:30, and November 14th, 6:30 to 8:30, and those classes are free. We also have Visual Arts League continuing its Friday acoustic jam sessions, and those are also free Friday evenings at 7 p.m. in the Art Gallery. Louisville Lake Symphony will be performing this coming Friday evening at 7:30, and obviously if you want to know more about that, you can always ask me. And I've got a couple of other items here. Greater Louisville Arts Association, actually it's supposed to be Alliance, but that's a typo here, is doing their Angel Awards ceremony Sunday, November 11th at 2 p.m., and that honors people who assist the different arts groups in the area in a special way. And then I had one more item. Oh, the Zara Belly Dance Fusion is doing Not So Silent Night, Saturday, November 17th, 7 p.m. to 9:30 p.m. I've actually seen them before, so it's a lot of fun. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Councilman Vaughn?
Nothing, Mayor.
Councilor? Julie?
Just a reminder, tomorrow is Election Day. If you need to know where your polling location is, you can go to the county's website. It is elections.dentoncounty.com, and it'll have a map to wherever your polling location is, or you can contact our office, and we will be more than happy to let you know where your polling location is. Voting 7 to 7 tomorrow, so make sure you do check your polling location, because it would not be a good thing if you showed up at 6:30 at the wrong location.
Thank you. Now I'll kind of dovetail a little bit on what Councilman Gilmore said about the TCEQ meeting. I certainly want to thank all the council that went and staff, and especially all of our citizens that did show up. We got an extremely nice letter from City Manager of Carrollton, Mr. Martin, who congratulated us on having so many people attend the meeting that was there in their city. As you can tell, they are also in opposition to this, as well as Castle Hills and all the surrounding areas. I encourage everyone to stay informed on this. Keep looking at this. We'll continue to have stuff on our city website about it. We don't feel like we need another landfill going up there to be 100 foot higher than the existing waste management landfill. for another city so they can have places to dump their trash in our city. So please be aware of that, and please stay on top of that, and thank for all those people that went. Once again, I want to thank everyone for your thoughts and prayers and everything. And I know I sound terrible, but I feel a lot better than I sound. And I promise you I'm not contagious. I wouldn't be here if I'd say it's just a asthma problem. So thank you. So Councilman Durham, if you do closed session, please, sir.
Yes, Mayor. Closed session in accordance with Texas Government Code Subchapter D, Number 1, Section 551.071, consultation with attorney, legal issues related to Camelot landfill. Number 2, Section 551.071, consultation with attorney pending litigation, Duarte versus City of Louisville, 412 CV-169, U.S. District Court for the Eastern District of Texas, Sherman Division. Number 3, Section 551.071, consultation with attorney, legal issues related to Texas-New Mexico power reliability standards. And 4, Section 551.072, real estate property acquisition. Number 5 has been removed. Number 6, Section 551.087, economic development, deliberation regarding economic development negotiations. Mayor?
We'll now convene in closed session.
All right. How many of us do we need?
Here we go, right here.
6 helps. 5 will do.
We'll convene back regular session. Is the action to be taken?
Yes, Mayor. I move to file a complaint and/or initiate an investigatory docket against Texas New Mexico Power with the Public Utility Commission regarding the distribution outages.
Motion by Councilman Ferguson,
Second.
second by Councilman Gilmore. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Motion
other-
to adjourn?
Motion adjourned by Councilman Ferguson,
Second?
second by Councilman Vaughn. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.